first of all, what is it you would like us to talk about? If you've got any specific things, put it up there now, and we'll try and talk about it. Secondly, we will. Sorry.
Let's help them out a little bit. What sorts of things have we been able to? Because you say, is there anything you want to know? Can we narrow it down a bit for people? What sorts of things do we know that we can add to support? What kind of questions do we know we can help people get a little bit of ease around, I suppose? So the topic we're going to talk about today from a very simple perspective is division and all these reasons why it happens. So I think it's kind of nice if you've got any relevant questions to division, divisiveness as a weapon, either by yourself, by another.
Well, Jack, there's a couple of things that have come up here. So Jack first said, Trump interview, please, Juliet. That's interesting. Okay, so we'll put that on the agenda. And I forgot to tell you, Marion, we have just published Volume 1 of my autobiography. It's up as for a Kindle edition now.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Marion has been such a help with me in finding the confidence and putting it forward and getting it out there, as has Jack, who's been a technical hero as well. And it's now on Kindle. And Debbie says she really loves the photograph of me as a little girl on the book. Thank you. Bless you. So, Jack has said, okay, so let's talk about the Trump interview. He says, oh, and the Trump and Elon Musk. So for those that don't know about it, Trump, back in, when was it, 2020 or something like that? When was he banned from Twitter?
Oh, about 2020. It was because it all started happening around the laptop time, didn't it? That was 2020, 2021.
Yeah, so Trump has been remarkable in many ways, although he's been regarded as a complete lunatic, and families and whole societies have broken up over him. And people have got the Trump derangement syndrome, which means if you mention Trump, they instantly ban you from their lives forever and ever. Okay, I had one serious fallout actually on a earlier Elder's Wisdom with somebody that was talking about Trump, and then when I mentioned him, then she went on to a big thing about it. Anyway, but the good news about Trump is that he flagged up so many things, and he was the first, as far as I know, to flag up in the public arena fake news, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah, he's been very good at showing a lot of the psychological operations, the stuff that we know induces trauma and trauma responses. He's very good at pointing out the little bits of the show, giving away the tricks of the trade, if you like. There's been a lot that it's been really good that he's shining a light on.
Yeah.
However, he's a player in the pantomime like the rest of them.
Yeah.
And he's in it for his own reasons. However he believes America should be, whatever he thinks saving America is, he's still from a corporatocracy. That's his world. He's a businessman. He deals in business. So he's still corporate creator and a corporate sustainer to me, beyond what humanity needs, way beyond what humanity needs. So while I really appreciate where he shines the light sometimes, I am, I don't really. He's another one of the players for me.
He's another one of the players, and we don't know what's behind the
Oh,
play.
well, really, you see some movies in the future maybe trying to work it out, but we never. You look at the whole thing around Lee Harvey Oswald and the shooting of JFK and all that happened all those years ago. Even after all of the information's been, what's the word, declassified, nobody knows any more or less than what they did. There's still loads of left field bits of junk thrown in to take the attention away from whatever the shenanigans show actually is. And so I think, that's just more evidence, isn't it? That doesn't matter when it's happened, even if it was last week or if it was 50 years ago, we'll never know the truth. And expecting to and needing to and wanting to and thinking it's a problem that we don't, we're just creating more problems for ourselves, aren't we? Because I think
Yeah,
accepting it's a pantomime is really important.
it's a pantomime and it's a shit show. And who was it who said recently? Oh yes, there's this guy who's got a channel called Dear Danny that I recently posted about.
Oh, Danny with the curly hair from Spain.
Yeah.
He's great, isn't he? I haven't seen him for ages.
Yeah, I've been posting him a few times, and he's talking about our UK election. It's like with Starmer and so on, and using that quote from your other favourite guy, who's the politician, who says it's the same two cheeks of the same arse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
George
with the trilby hat. So he's quoting him. He says, two cheeks of the same arse, and we're all getting shat upon by that, right?
Yeah.
So we all know that there's like everything is all orchestrated.
Well, apparently 30% of the population still believe it's worth voting. So they don't know, do they? If it's like believing the playing and the machinery of that game is going to get us anywhere.
Okay, so lots of people don't know, but more and more people are beginning to understand that there's something being orchestrated. It's a great show. Get out the popcorn or whatever. We've looked at this week after week after week, talking about behavioral psychology, mind control, fake videos, fake news, and Trump brought it a lot into the mainstream. But we also know that there's terrible things happening, like this deep shit is coming to the surface. We can look at it in terms of kind of deep healing of humanity. We can look at it, we can frame it in all sorts of different ways. But what we know for sure is that it's happening, is that it's just like all around us, it's in our faces everywhere. And the dilemma for us is what to do about it. Which is a huge dilemma as we actually witness that, we're being poisoned from every angle. We're from our food supplies, the chemtrails, the water, the jabs, everything is attacking us. We are under attack. So what do we do about it? We know that's real. We don't know who's responsible exactly. We know the sorry, I'm fiddling with my dress here now, so I shouldn't be doing this on top. Okay. Yeah. So that's it.
And I think this is really, this again, for me, this is the crux of it, is to find your own way through. And by knowing it's a game, and even though we get caught in it a lot, and we want to follow a story, or we want to know why, or we want something from it, even though that's all going on, all that story's going on, we're still it's hard, isn't it? Because we have to indulge in life, but we make so many decisions that we do not realize how weaponized our own decision making has become. And so if we don't follow it, we can be upholding really shitty, awful agendas. Like if you believed in the climate calamity, darling, then you really believe that that whatever's being said needs to happen. You really believe it's true. So you don't appreciate that the cost of putting the solar panel on someone's roof is way above what it would ever recycle as far as creating its own energy. So the balance, like the CO2 balance. So did you know cows are methane, carbon negative? They're not even carbon neutral. Cows, when they see how much they eat and what they do, a cow is carbon negative. So, but even if you believe the story about needing things to be carbon negative and carbon neutral, it's like recognizing what aspects of that have been weaponized and what we're then continuing to use those weapons against ourselves, against society, against each other. And I think we can always catch this when it creates the two sides, the divisiveness of the two sides, because everything that pushes anything between us is a weapon. So it's like, can we recognize where we are being weaponized constantly, as you say, with water, with the food, with the politics, with the religion? Where are those weapons? I am playing this game as well. I'm slowly waking up. But if I deny that I'm playing the game and I deny that any of those weapons have caught me, then there's no hope for me. So it's like we really have to look at ourselves very deeply and see where are we playing into the hands of that divisiveness.
And how our energy is being harnessed.
Yeah.
And we can witness, we can either be conscious or unconscious of the abuse that's happening against us.
Exactly.
And when we become conscious, how is our energy being harnessed so that then we're not kind of playing more into the abuse? How do we detach ourselves from the abuse and live the life that we need to live in order to create the dream of the world that we could be having, where there's justice and care and love and abundance, all those qualities that most people actually value and honor. So
yeah.
Jack says we need to reevaluate everything that we think we know. Yeah, I think there's been a massive amount of that going on for the last, since the whole pandemic hoax, wasn't there? The pandemic.
Even that's been weaponized, hasn't it? It's like the arrogant news collector believes that they know more because of how much they've collected and how important the information is. But again, it's another method, tool of division, isn't it?
Mm. Anyway, so
educated than ourselves or something.
So information, clear information and not misinformation is important. And I guess a point of that.
What they said in the States. So, there's the two deputy dogs, whatever they're called, vice thingies. One of them, they said, yes, I had weapons during the time of war, or some bollocks. He said he was in the army. And what he'd actually done is he'd left the army before they went to war because he knew they were going, and he decided he bollocksed out, basically. The other guy, J.D. Vance, isn't it? It was in the Marines, and now his record, which was quite ordinary, I think, looks like a big shining one, because compared to the other guy, who's a liar, who was never in wartime, and blah, blah, blah.
Pence?
No, the other one, the one that belongs to Kamala.
Oh, yeah.
What they're saying about this new guy is, he misspoke, so it's misinformation, and they're saying, oh yeah, he's apologized for the misinformation. It's not that he's a liar and he wanted people to believe a pack of lies. Oh, sorry, it's misinformation. Oh dear, but there's no court case. No one taking him to jail.
What tells me is that they're getting caught out more and more frequently because people are.
Well, they've laid out the laws, haven't they? They've laid the laws out to try to catch everybody, and now they're tripping themselves up on every step. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess if we were light-hearted about everything and was just like watching and laughing, really had our popcorn out, it would be quite funny.
Yeah.
How it's going on. So Elon Musk is like being the cat amongst the pigeons when he decided he bought Twitter, turned it into X, and then he started allowing people to come back onto X, like Alex Jones and so on. And this week, because Trump was banned from X, which was like a total uproar, banned from Twitter. It's a total uproar. It's like Now they've banned the president, or because he was still president then. It's like, that's unheard of, actually banning the president. You can't do that. This is in a free speech society. Well, it's not a free speech society, as we've since learned. But anyway, Elon Musk has now allowed Trump back onto Twitter, X, and has interviewed him. Not an interview, but an actual conversation, because Elon said it's like listening to somebody on their campaign trail or at a rally isn't the same as actually listening to them as they talk, their conversation, the way they relate to you, and so on. So I want to have a real conversation with Trump, President Trump, and see what he's got to say for himself. So as soon as he proposed that, then the what's his name from the, oh my God, I have to look at my notes. Excuse me just a second. So yeah, Thierry Breton, who's like the European Commissioner for, so he tried to censor the conversation with Trump. He told Elon you can't do that and threatened him with fines and so on. So Elon's response was, the same as that he got into trouble with everyone else before when he said,
Go focus.
Yeah. And now he's told Thierry, what you call it, your face, bleep your Anyway, so like everybody's enraged with Elon Musk. So Elon went ahead with this conversation with Trump on X yesterday, and they had over 1 billion views, more views than anything, and more views than CNN, which was astonishing ever. That's the most views of anything, because people really want to hear what Trump's got to say.
Look how perfectly timed this bit of the pantomime is, because Elon's, at the moment, there's talk of him selling up because X is draining money from him. I've heard that a few times.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
After the whole shenanigans last week and the shooting and everything, it's like there's these, and there's a few other big things that are coming up, isn't there? So there's these massive in the news, and the trendy boy as well. Elon's like Mr. Trendy Boy, isn't he? So this to claim the size of the audience that he can dictate is, to me, is it looks like it's in perfect timing. What's it called? Lockstep marching, if you like, to make sure that the big boys have to go fuck themselves, because they can't even compete with what him and Trump can do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a massive alliance. Absolutely massive.
They spent years concocting it, because he's still on Truth Social. He said it last year, didn't he? I don't need Twitter anymore. I've got my own, thanks.
Well, he set up his own platform, yeah. So, but that was a real up yours that Elon did that. And then when they actually launched their conversation, they were under a massive cyber attack that stopped the conversation.
Yeah, so again, they're just revealing all this stuff, aren't they? The people are being revealed, like the misinformation news guy who's the new bloody vice president.
Yeah.
Just like, here's a rule. Oh no, you've broken it again. Here's another of your rules. Oh no, you've broken it again. We don't want your rules, but look, you keep breaking them.
Absolutely. So what Musk told Trump is like, and this is what's the difference, is where you see the censorship coming in, that whoever's behind the whatever, the hand behind what's going on, doesn't want us to know certain things. It's trying to keep us confused and in the dark. So Musk told Trump, he says, I think it's obvious that you're a believer and an advocate of free speech. So that's really important. It's like what makes Trump different from Biden or Kamala Harris or any of the others, because he's actually wanting free speech. Well, how do we know that? He went on to say, it's because during your first time as president, you were attacked relentlessly every day, often very unfairly with false attacks, and you didn't try to shut down the media. You didn't try to inhibit their freedom of speech. And I think that says a lot. The things they said about Trump, and this is why people have a Trump derangement syndrome, is because it was horrific. I was totally against Trump as well. It's like, this man is despicable. He's horrible. He wants to make me vomit. And they were saying such terrible things about him. Absolutely
Been years in the planning, years in the making.
Yeah, and that's
Making sure that he was completely Marmite. And then who did they put him up against? It was Obama, wasn't it? So like the Mr. Gorgeous, smooth talking, sunny boy, and now there's the orange man bad.
Orange Man bad. Yeah, I mean he is. He does seem to epitomise all the things that we previously didn't want. You know, he's supporting oil. He's supporting um, capitalism. He's supporting, you know, all those things that we were kind of.
I think this is why that for me it's not about whether or not I'd ever support any of them. This is just like there's all these reasons why I don't support people. And there's some of them. Israel is another one. The whole vax situation was another one. There's all these stories where you just think that they're too hung up on the current system. If we need the current system to go, because if it keeps on, it's like pulling the crabs back in the barrel, isn't it? That nobody will ever escape the pit we're in if you can't climb out of it. So by being held by the old system, and that'll be Israel and oil, and although I don't know if the oil's as big, it's a completely weird situation. But yeah, all these sort of geopolitical global things that even Trump would be, you know, is hanging on to because it's part of the structures that he lives within. But these are, again, they're more parts that do need to go.
Yeah,
I know.
it's very complicated. So
I heard another thing that complicated stuff the other day. It was interesting about overlays. I've heard it before, and it makes a lot of sense. You know, when you're given a system to describe something, what you then do is you overlay the system, and you can't talk about anything that's happening if the system doesn't allow you to mention it because it hasn't got the language or it hasn't got the grammar or something. And so we've got all these systems and they're just ways for us to try and explore and expand our knowledge about things. So one of these systems, these mapping systems, is the chakra system, which is energetically overlaid over our energy body or the pranic body in yoga. And apparently it's got a malevolent overlay kind of energy about it. And it's been hijacked quite a lot. And so us learning about chakras and using the knowledge of this system to define our reality rather than allowing the system to be open and free to be able to account for our reality, not define it to us. Do you know what I mean? So our reality should be unfolding, and language is used to express and unfold what's manifesting, what's changing, what's happening. Whereas when you've got an overlay, you go, well, this is the system. So this is the tube system. So obviously tubes can never go any further than this, and they can't go anywhere other than on the lines. But that's not true. You know, you could get on a train and drive anywhere you like, really, couldn't you? But while you're stuck in that little system and you think that you're expanding your knowledge, what you're actually doing is containing it. And so that was, yeah, I find that really fascinating, that a lot of where we perceive spiritual education or spiritual mechanisms are actually hijacked and being used for the opposite. So it's another confused dimension to throw into the pot.
oh my God, this conversation could go into all sorts of places. Right.
I know.
I know, and we are confined by this time. We've set ourselves of 1 hour, and you know how much go off track or stay with us, whatever. Anyway, I've just been reading for the third time. I've got this massive book, A Diary of a Sufi Master. It's Irina Tweedy. I don't know if you've ever come across her, but she was the first first woman ever to adopt or be taken to a state of expanded consciousness through a Sufi master in India. And it was torturous what she went through. And it was all about breaking down whatever system you interpret life by, however you define yourself, it has to go. That there can be absolutely no limitations at all.
Yeah.
In your, you know, the mind has to go, your ego has to go, your personality has to go. It's not just about letting go of attachment of the physical things. It's like letting go of all these subtle levels of attachment
Identity levels, aren't they, as well?
All the identity levels. So, maybe we're struggling with that. I don't
That's
know.
what what we're talking about. You can take it all really seriously and thinking, oh my God, how we're totally overpowered. But we may be totally overpowered on some level. But if we know that we're in the audience of the pantomime, or that we're centre stage on the pantomime, if we actually know that that's the illusion that's playing out right now, that gives us back our power, doesn't it? Because even though we're playing that role, the bigger picture is that's just one part of life. That's one little role. That's one thing that we do. There's much more to us.
Yeah, yeah. So the pantomime at the moment, which is, it's becoming quite dangerous. So many politicians have said it's really dangerous at the moment. And this could be, this is another level of fear if we get into like, oh my God, it's so dangerous. We're going to have nuclear war. We're going to have civil war.
Yeah.
That stuff's been going on for the last couple of months. That's been the rhetoric. But the big thing at the moment is this immigration issue. And Keir Starmer, bully boy Keir Starmer, who was, my theory is that there was some abuse going on there with, what's his name, with the cigar smoking guy, Jimmy, our friend Jimmy, because there's photographs of Kieran as a little boy with Jimmy. Was there abuse going on there? I don't know, but there's a lot of trauma because his eyes look very fearful. But meanwhile, he's come on line threatening people with the most outrageous threats that don't you dare post on, we'll get you. And like there was a court, a video.
Say we'll get you, but none of us are allowed to say, well, we'll get you.
Exactly. He can say that to us. The total thug, a total bully. So, there's another level of fear to make you too frightened to post on Facebook or whatever, because you might be put in prison. It's been a big theme this week.
4,000, apparently there've been 4,000 arrests, and in Russia over the same time period, there's been 200. Don't ask me where I got my amazing statistics from.
Anyway, where was I going with this? So anyway, this whole thing it's about the huge protests that's erupted across the UK because people are sick and tired with the level of invasion from people from abroad. That it's interesting because Keir Starmer has now stopped the elderly health heating support, hasn't he? Your bills if you're elderly, so you can't get the support for the elderly now. Although that was an election pledge he came in on, that he would increase help to those people that needed. He's now taken it away.
He's paying Holiday Inn rates for his illegals. He can't afford to be putting Granny's fire on for her.
Exactly. So why isn't he cutting the
It's his mate. He's organised to pay his mate, and his mate knows people who you don't want to cross,
Well, exactly. So they come in and they're given they're given a hotel, they're given a daily allowance. There's
mobile phone.
There's all sorts of legitimate reasons why ordinary people should be objecting to what's going on. And when they objected, now they've created a huge thing because it was, a way of actually getting people locked down with more surveillance.
Yeah.
Because now you're not allowed to protest or even put it on Facebook, because if you do, now you're conspiracy theorist, you're a right-wing activist. We've got grannies who are right-wing activists.
Yeah.
So
far right
activists. So this thing of immigration is actually the up and coming thing. And I've talked so much, I've run out of time. So I did have a little clip with about Elon and Trump talking about immigration, and the big thing that Trump's come in on originally was the southern border. There's literally millions of people flooding across the southern border all the time. Maybe I won't share that now, but I will put the link to the interview. You should listen to what Trump's got to say, because this immigration thing is something that's affecting Canada, all the European countries, America. It's a huge, huge thing, and it's been deliberately created.
The whole Western world, everywhere where the central banks are, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Exactly what's going on. There's been this, Sweden is completely, they don't know what to do with themselves anymore. Norway's had Norway's a bit weird. I don't know what goes on in Norway, but it's very dark. But yeah, there's been the Denmark. They've had some, because they made a few little laws and they've managed to save themselves on some levels. But it's the whole of the Western world that had central banking as the majority shareholders of those countries is and again it's meticulously orchestrated. It's been designed over many decades. What's happened over the last few years has been absolutely defined. And again, it's to support corporate business, because it takes the power away from us, gives the power to them. And then they've got cheap labor. We talked about this last week, didn't we? Cheap labor. And then, we've got this military state because of all the hate and everything going on. They're loving it. I mean, David Icke's been writing about this for 30 or 40 years, hasn't he? This lockstep into complete militarization of how we are.
And they present it in such a way as people fall for it. The same as, like, a few years ago, I took a photograph of myself with a sign, "I welcome immigrants." We've all got like hoodwinked, pulled into it.
We are the most unracist. I mean, we've been trained to be unracist so that we actually will sacrifice our own life first. That's how we've all been trained.
So people are talking now about the genocide of white people, that actually this immigration issue isn't going on in Africa. It's going on in the Western European, Canadian.
It's not the poor refugees. It's not their fault. Their companies have been raped and completely had. And then they've been given the way to get here. None of them would get here off their own back.
No,
they've had countries destroyed. They've been pushed out to come to us. They've been told they'll get everything they need. So why wouldn't I come if I was one of them? Do you know what I mean? I'd be on the next fucking boat. No problem. So it's not even their fault. This is orchestrated at a very, very high level, and the central banks are completely behind it all.
The central banks and the people behind the central banks, and those guys that set up the pharmaceutical industry and the oil industry and all that as well.
And they've raped all the African countries. They've absolutely raped them. So even now, the millions and billions of dollars worth of stuff that comes out of the ground in Africa, none of that money stays in Africa.
No. So there's another big part about how some of these African countries are really saying, fuck off.
Oh, I know in Niger and Burkina Faso and a few others, which are just kind of around the Nigeria area. I've been in that area. It's really lovely. And some of the tribes are so lovely and gentle. It's a stunning place. There's also the crooked, weird, dark side of it as well. But yeah, there was quite a few countries. I don't know what's going on anymore because I don't read as much. So I have some things I don't keep up to date with. But this time last year, West Africa was having a massive, all of you whites fuck off.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I just want to show a little bit of a clip how we've been sold on this idea of immigration as a good thing. And it's come from this. So Trump has been banned because he's speaking out against the misinformation and fake news. Another English people that have been banned is and I don't even know whether to say it or not because Facebook bans it. It's the letters U and the letter K, and then amazing. Polly was doing this, trying to mime things that would be banned if she said it. What's the big thing that you support something with? Column news. Well, they every week they do an amazing analysis and report about the behavioural psychology team in the UK government, and the applied behavioural psychology being used by the British government, and that they've got a treasonous agenda against the UK. So they're creating democratism, which was a new word for me, which is the illusion of democracy. So we think we've got democracy, but we don't.
Two cheeks of the same arse. George is spot on.
Exactly. So they're looking at how all this has been meticulously planned. So I'm just going to, if I can, just show you a little bit of that. If I can find the screen to share. Might not be able to find it. Bear with me. Just a minute.
I'm going to go and get my cable. I think I'm running low on a battery.
You go and get your cable. Don't run out. Okay. So, okay, so let's see. So here we are, and
so this is the channel that you were talking about that's got a column after the word UK.
That's right. But now is it set up at the right point when I was going to show it? I don't. We need a techie person to be doing these things.
You need a techie person who can see.
A techie person that can see, yeah. I thought I had it all set at the right place, and now it's not at the right place. I think that was a clip on top of it. Sorry, everyone.
So what is it you're looking for? So what they're going to be talking about, did you say?
Well, I'm talking about the global development goals of sustainability.
Is this Agenda 2030?
Yeah, it's about how it's been sold to everybody.
Yeah. So sustainability has been a bit of a buzzword, hasn't it, for the last couple of years? But basically what sustainability means is we're getting everything to carbon neutral. That's basically what they're saying, isn't it? And carbon neutral means you can't go out, you can't fart, you can't cook, can't heat your house in the winter. You have to have a thing that doesn't work very well. What else can't you do, Juliet? Can't fly.
Can't fly. You can't wash your clothes.
Can't wash your clothes. What else can't you do? Can't drive your car. If you drive your bike, you're only allowed to go 15 minutes. So yeah, there's all this. There's great life we've got to look forward to.
Oh my God.
And we'll own nothing and be happy as well. You know, like they have these renter bikes on the streets and people don't have to own anything. They just pay a ping of a couple of quid every time they jump on a bicycle. So they're already educating younger people, because people in their 20s and 30s, they quite like the fact they wouldn't even know what it was like to own your own bike.
Really?
Yeah.
They don't know.
No idea. If you've lived in a city, why would you own your own bike? There's one on every corner, it costs you 50p. Why would you bother? So yeah, we're already well educated.
Okay, well, this is, I'm sorry, I'm having a problem finding the part that I wanted to show you. Oh, here it is. Here she is, I think.
How they are actually unsustainable. So what
it should not be the immigrants who have come in through the open door. We should be looking at the treasonous, in my opinion, politicians who've opened the door to this unsustainable mass migration. Diane, welcome to the news today. Very serious news. There's lots of information to cover, but you've also been looking at political agenda, which is coming into the UK.
Brian, hello, and hello, Ben, as well. I wanted to just review the Sustainable Development Goals as we know them. Debbie talked about them on Friday, and Debbie Evans talked about how they are actually unsustainable. So what Debbie and I talked about this over the weekend, and you can look up the Sustainable Development Goals yourself. They're all over the internet, but what we have created is 17 unsustainable goals. And I wanted to show how this sort of translates into the migration issue, because migration is throughout these goals. So the 17 goals, as we sort of translated them into ways that normal people will understand. I'll just read them quickly because I think they're very important. You will be poor, you will eat bugs, you will be modified, you will be indoctrinated, you will have no gender, you will drink recycled water, you will use smart meters, you will use CBDC, you will use smartphones, You will have no borders. You will not travel. You will be hungry. You will not breathe. You will not fish. You will live online. You will be censored. You will live in 1984, and ultimately you will not be sustained. It's not about them. It's about you. It's about us. So from here, I wanted to show a video that is from the International Organization for Migration, which is associated with the UN. They're based in Geneva. And just to show you a little bit about what they are saying about the relationship between these unsustainable goals, the 2030 Agenda, and migration.
By embracing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and its 17 Sustainable Development Goals, we have an unmissable opportunity to harness the development potential of migration, to support beneficial outcomes, starting with reducing inequalities and putting the right policies in place to ensure safer, more orderly and regular migration. Migration has been a long-standing coping strategy for people to pull themselves out of poverty, to cope with lack of basic infrastructure or search for better opportunities. People's reasons to move can also be influenced by conflict, natural hazards, or environmental conditions linked to climate change. And in a global context of rapid urbanization, movement of people is increasingly taking place to cities and urban areas, enriching local communities and societies, both where migrants are and where they come from. The knowledge, skills and experience that migrants bring and gain in new places contribute to the labour force in key sectors such as health, and play a vital role in building diverse and productive societies. Migration can empower women economically and socially and help people realise their personal aspirations and educational potential. This encourages innovation, which benefits science, technology and industry. With increased earnings, migrants are able to send financial support to family members back home. This is critical to help reduce hunger and strengthen the resilience and sustainability of poorer communities. But none of these benefits are guaranteed. We can only achieve all of this by upholding human rights, fostering peace and security, ensuring equal access to justice and protection from exploitation for all. We also need to build strong partnerships in our cities, within our countries and regions, and globally through international cooperation. Migration is everyone's business. Together, we can ensure that we leave no one behind.
So we can see a couple of things in that video. We see the Sustainable Development Goals, the little sort of cartoony pictures, not just the people, but the cartoony pictures that are part of the original Sustainable Development Goals infographic, which I have sort of taken the liberty of reworking, as I said previously. So Sustainable Goal Development 10, I have called You Will Have No Borders. They call it Reduce Inequality Within and Among Countries. And this basically consists of making sure that people who are originally from poorer countries or, countries that are different from Western cultures, essentially, are the same or have the same access to things, are essentially the same. So we could go into communism here in a way, compared to those of us who are in more wealthy countries, as they call it. So they talk a little bit about COVID, they talk a little about other things, but it doesn't really apply as much as, certainly not COVID, but certainly the difference between people coming from Africa, Asian countries, and so on, and what this means for the West. They don't really focus on that as much as they focus on the fact that we're supposed to be taking people in from other countries to make things more equal for everyone.
I'm going to stop that there. I mean, it is a very interesting video all the way through, because it analyzes a lot of stuff, what our government is doing. And I mean, basically it shows you how we've been sold this bag of tricks, like, oh, it's going to be so amazing to help everybody. And but in fact, it hasn't. It's had the reverse effect of that.
Well, one of the things that she said was they're moving people out of areas where they don't have any infrastructure, but they're moving them into areas that don't have any fucking infrastructure.
Yeah.
The Holiday Inn at Scarborough, the people around the corner are fucking starving. So there isn't a wealthy infrastructure to support the new income. It's like it's clear from what they're saying on that this utopia that they're sending these immigrants to doesn't exist. It's our shitty backyard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's just such a complete con the way they've, so they're analysing the behavioural
side. She believes it. The woman who read all that out, but she probably believes every fucking word.
No, she doesn't, because she's analysing and she's showing.
I know, the woman who was reading on the voice.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah. So it's really worth watching, and you won't be. I can't put the link on YouTube, but if you come to my Telegram channel, it's on there, or you can research for it. But it's important to get that piece of information, because the other con is the climate hoax, because all that immigration is based on, we've got these this terrible climate situation. We have to protect those countries we've exploited because of our use, because we're bad, humans are bad, and they've abused and they've used too much and everything, and now there's climate stuff is going on, so we have to protect these
even
people.
if we're bad, it's your ancestors are bad.
Yes, exactly. So it's just like how they completely hoodwink us, and we kind of get bought into the whole narrative and go along and give our power to it. So before that, before we finish, now we've got 7 minutes, I just want to tell you, I'm going to show you very quickly, but I'm not going to let you watch it, but Mark Sexton put out a video on Mark Atwood's show, and you really should go and listen to what he's saying, because he's deeply concerned about the riots, and because there's been loads of people coming out saying we've got to stop fighting, we've got to realize who's causing this problem and stop it right now. Let me see, where did I put it? Oh yes, some sentence in the UK. Sexton, he's the one that has been trying to stop the jabs as well, ex-policeman.
He's trying to use the law where we should be able to use it to protect people, isn't he?
Yeah.
For God's sake, wake up. How can the sitting Prime Minister go on national television and say he will protect a certain group of people, but fail to look at, acknowledge and address the real issues? How? Because they want divide and hate and anger and black, white and Asian and Muslim and Christians fighting each other, because it takes the focus off them. And it's them that's caused it. 80% of the population did not vote for Keir Starmer or Labour, but they are calling the shots. Who do they work for? Isn't it supposed to be us, not their overlords pulling the strings behind the scenes? Remember, this is all by design. It's going on all over the world, in almost every country. They want chaos so they can bring in a one world government. But we have to stop them. They are giving billions of pounds of our money to other countries and proxy wars, climate agenda lies and rhetoric. And let's pay for it. Let's pay for this by taking the elderly's winter fuel payments off them. I mean, seriously, are we going to allow this to happen? Our shores are being invaded, and this is criminal.
So he's really worth important to listen to. And he's got a proposal for everyone. There's a letter template and so on that he said, because he's very much an advocate of common law. He's very much about petitioning King Charles. I mean, we know that King Charles is behind the whole thing anyway, because he's a big member of the World Economic Forum as well. But he says that he's still responsible, and he's got to represent us. He's sworn an oath to us, so we should hold him to the gun to make sure that he does what he's meant to do. So it's worth
one of them is who is supposed to be for the people, has any interest in people, because the corporates are the ones who call all the shots, dish out all the money, dish out all the status, own the media. If you ain't paying the corporate game, you're never going to be on screen again, or you're never going to be in a position of power again. So there's no way this is what I'm saying about all of the systems that are there are completely bought and paid for by corporate entities. Every single one that is supposed to be a people-centered organization or a people-centered service, not one of them can avoid the corporate decision over power overlord people.
Yeah. So Marion, my lovely, we've got 3 minutes left. Should we just look at some of the comments and
Yes.
just say, everybody watching this video, we don't know if it will stay up on Facebook, but we are on Rumble, we are on BitChute, we are on Odyssey, LinkedIn, Telegram, X, and Telegram. And do join my Telegram channel as well, because a lot of information I can't put on Facebook. It's all in that Telegram channel. So, keep following and share, because it's really important that we share this information out. So yeah. Debbie says, I always like to bear this in mind by guess who? Seth. Now I've told you time and time again, my friends, that you construct your physical universe and your private environment in line with your inner expectations, for they mirror perfectly the deepest areas of your own inner reality. When you are concentrating upon destructive elements, you lose on 2 points. You reinforce the destructive qualities by the very act of concentrating upon them, and you rob yourselves of the constructive qualities that you could be concentrating upon, and therefore that you could be reinforcing.
Yeah.
So, this is real wisdom. Thank you, Debbie, so much for sharing that. There's so much good stuff we can be concentrating on, but we still have to see what it is that's going on. I guess, we've got to bring this to light. So is there anyone else that wants to make a comment? Oh, yes. Jack says we need to reevaluate everything. We think we know.
I can't hear you, Juliet. Do you want to move closer to your mic?
Okay. Jack said we need to reevaluate everything that we think we know, which is what we saw just now. Yes. And can you hear me now, Marion?
Yeah. When you sit back, it doesn't come clear.
Okay. She says, before you ask, good evening, and yes, I can see and hear you. 18 minutes ago. Reply, Jack Cox. It's been a bit disjointed.
No, they were all from the beginning when we were not.
Yeah, but she's talking about it now. I'm a bit puzzled.
They're just the old comments.
Oh, somebody's put it all together in one message. Okay. Thank you, Deb. Okay. What else is here? Oh, she's just copied and pasted everything into a very, very long. Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah. Seth.
Oh no.
If we did that, we wouldn't be able to. We wouldn't have anything to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. The government. Jack says the government isn't helping people by giving them preferential treatment. They're being set up. So there you go. And that's the end of the show. There you go. And that's the end of the show. I'm a poet. Didn't you?
And I know it.
Oh my God.
So you just keep enjoying the pantomime, really.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
That's all we can do. Sit back, put your glasses on, get your popcorn out.
Get those glasses with the eyeballs on springs that come on.
Boing. Oh, that would be really funny. Some of those for next week.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. And please do comment if you've not commented already. Hashtag replay if you want to.
Hashtag replay. Oh, that's good.
You can type and say, I'm watching the replay. I thought I'd send you a message.
Yeah, that's good. Debbie says, oh, that copy and paste shouldn't have happened. Don't know what happened there. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, goodbye, wherever you are around the world. Thank you so much for joining us. Please share, Please
Yes.
syndicate. Oh la la. And yeah, don't believe any of the fake videos that you see of Marion and I.
Yeah, if you see it on the screen, don't believe a fucking word of it. Whether it's coming out of my gob, air gob, your gob, Pope gob, doesn't matter. Don't believe it. Go and do your research.
Yeah.
Have a look at real life, see what that shows you.
Yeah. Okay, bye for now. Lots of love.
Bye.
Till next week.